Today's news is as shocking as it is thought-provoking. Sweden, once considered a haven for refugees, is now planning to offer $34,000 to send immigrants and refugees back to their home countries. This surprising decision comes from Sweden's current right-wing government, which is determined to completely overhaul the country's migration policy. But what led Sweden, previously known as a humanitarian superpower, to now urge migrants to leave by offering them substantial financial incentives? In this video, we're going to dive deep into this entire story. What's the reason behind this new policy? Is it purely an economic issue, or is there something even bigger at play? And what long-term impact will this have on Sweden and the migrants living there? If you're curious to learn more about this controversial and unique policy, stay with us until the end, because we'll be covering every aspect of this issue in detail. Sweden, which has been at the forefront of offering asylum to refugees for decades, is now offering a significant amount of money to encourage migrants to voluntarily return to their home countries. The Swedish government recently announced that those migrants who choose to go back voluntarily will receive up to $34,000. This scheme is set to take effect in 2026. Previously, under Sweden's migration laws, returning migrants were only given 10,000 kronor per person. Additionally, there was a cap of 5,000 kronor for each child and 40,000 kronor for an entire family. But now, the government believes that increasing the amount will encourage more migrants to take advantage of this offer and return voluntarily to their home countries. Sweden has always been a country that welcomed immigrants and refugees. Especially during the 2015 refugee crisis in Europe, Sweden alone took in 160,000 refugees, more than any other country in Europe. This earned Sweden the title of a humanitarian superpower. Since the 1990s, Sweden has accepted large numbers of migrants, many of whom came from war-torn countries such as Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, and the former Yugoslavia. Integrating these migrants into Sweden's welfare system has always been a challenge. However, since the 2015 refugee crisis, Sweden's immigration policy has seen significant changes. Where the doors were once wide open, the government has now introduced several measures to reduce the number of new migrants. These include issuing temporary residence permits, imposing strict family reunification conditions, and raising income thresholds for work visas. The question now arises, why has Sweden adopted such a tough stance on migration? Sweden's current right-wing coalition government argues that many migrants have not successfully integrated into Swedish society. Especially those who have been unemployed for a long time or whose incomes are so low that they rely on government assistance may find this new policy as an incentive to return home. According to the government, the primary goal of this policy is to encourage people who have not permanently settled in Sweden and who rely heavily on government benefits to return to their home countries. Ludvig Aspling, from the Sweden Democrats Party, mentioned that better information and a larger sum of financial aid could motivate more migrants to take advantage of this scheme. He pointed out that this policy is particularly targeted at migrants who have been unemployed for long periods or who need government assistance due to low income. You may be surprised to learn that Sweden is not the first country to introduce a financial incentive for migrants to return home. Similar policies are already in place in other European countries. For example, Denmark offers migrants up to $15,000, while Norway, France, and Germany offer amounts ranging from $1,400 to $2,800. However, Sweden has significantly raised the amount in hopes that more migrants will be motivated to accept this offer. While the Swedish government believes that this policy will encourage voluntary returns, critics are not far behind. Some experts argue that such a policy sends a negative message to migrants, potentially complicating their integration efforts. Sweden has long struggled with the integration of its migrants, and a policy like this could make migrants feel even more unwelcome. A recent Swedish government report also suggested that promoting this scheme could give the impression that migrants are not welcome in Sweden, further hindering the integration process. It remains to be seen how successful Sweden's new policy will be. In the past, similar attempts to offer financial incentives to migrants failed to gain much traction. Last year, only one person took advantage of the scheme. The government is hoping that this time, with a larger amount, more people will choose to return. However, some believe that simply offering money won't solve the problem. Migration and integration are complex issues that require more than just financial aid. They need a comprehensive policy solution. This policy is set to roll out in 2026, and its impact will be closely monitored. Will this scheme truly work? Will migrants voluntarily return, or will this policy tarnish Sweden's image even further? This kind of policy also raises the question of whether other countries might follow suit. Friends, Sweden's decision is not just a policy shift. It signals a major change in the realm of migration policies and human rights. Countries around the world are grappling with migrant and refugee issues, each crafting policies based on their own capacities and circumstances. It will be interesting to see how Sweden's new policy unfolds and whether other countries will adopt similar approaches. So, that's our deep dive into Sweden's new migration policy. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it, and subscribe to our channel to stay informed on more important topics like this.